The Fountain Pen by Shreya Mathur. The pen is a tool that has been there throughout the ages, though in different forms. The early cavemen used to use a sharpened stone tool to carve on their walls. Early merchants used to use portable clay tablets to write on with a straw whilst the clay was wet. The closest that anyone in the past ever came to match with modern day pen and paper was, of course, the Greeks. They came up with a writing stylus in which either metal, ivory, or bones were used to mark on the wax coated tablets. Dyes, crushed berries, and plants were used to make the ink to write with. Also, the Romans created a reed pen, in which was the primitive fountain pens made by bamboo. However, the most famous of writing tools before the fountain pen was the quill. In 700 AD, the quill was invented. However, it was not without its set of problems. It took much preparation to make. Feather of a bird was required. The feather had to be removed, and a steel nib was added, though sometimes gold. The nib had to be cut enough till it was slanted for writing. It was a long, strenuous process. Also, the ink was a big issue. What with spilling and leaks, it was rather troublesome. A spiritual leader in ancient Egypt demanded a pen that would not stain his hands or his clothes. He was presented with a pen that held ink in a reservoir and delivered it into the nib through gravity and tube, a fountain pen. In 1884, Louis Waterman made the first original fountain pen. Inspired by the quill, his pen was made up of three main qualities. The feed, better known as the black part underneath the nib, controlled the ink flow from the reservoir to the nib. Secondly, a round barrel that held the nib protects the ink reservoir internally. Hence, the ink was not squeezed and spilled whilst writing. Unlike his predecessors, Waterman did not concern himself with trying to find a substitution for the ink pot. His pen held its own ink supply. By the 19th century, the demand for the fountain pen had started to double. This is because of the availability of gold nibs and the invention of hard rubber, in which increased the supply of pens. Also, the ink was filled with less sediments, making the writing more smooth. During this time, the fountain pen was the ultimate status tool. Fountain pens make life easier. They did not require as much work as the quill and did not cause nearly as much damage. Fountain pens are also great for better writing, since it is easy to write in cursive with them, and people can explore and express their own expressions and style of writing, if handling the pen with care. Nearly a century after the fountain pen, the ballpoint pen was invented. It had a long ink life, and soon it became the dominant pen. However, in this current century, it seems that we have less and less value for a pen. Already, instead of writing down our own thoughts, we type them up in the privacy of our own personal laptops. It is a big step for humankind, but I wonder, is it making us more lazy?